Hey, Benicia.
Hey, Tanya, we're back.
Yes,
Oh,
we are.
we
We
haven't said
are
that in a
back,
long time.
everybody. Arise and
Yeah,
Shine Stories of Triumph is in the house. And
yeah.
we just want to give you a couple minutes while Benicia and I catch up a little bit to
Hmm.
share this broadcast. It's going to
Yes.
be amazing. We have an extraordinary guest. So just share, share, share. Send it out to your personal line and all the groups. Now, you part of some like a million groups like me. So just
Hmm.
go ahead and share it with them too, because they need to know. Right,
Yes,
Benicia? I mean, you know this
absolutely.
lady.
I do. And I think she's so amazing. And all the podcasts have been every week,
Girl.
I'm like, listen, they is coming with this fire. So
Yes.
I have no doubt that today is going to be any different. And again, when we ask for you to share, it's not for likes and numbers. It's so that we can help encourage somebody today. That really is our
Yes.
heart posture, right, Tanya?
Yes, it is. It is. Because you know what? I always say, you are called to certain people with your gifts and your talents.
Yeah.
One thing that might be said, even by you in the chat, could change somebody's life.
Mm,
So, not only the guests that we have, but the energy. And I use energy because our girl is all about energy, the word
hmm.
energy that
Yeah,
you put in the chat, as Dr. Darius would say, fire in the chat, right, Benicia?
that's it.
When we interact, it's a village. It's a
Yeah,
village, y'all. So
it
we
is.
we try to bring you the most amazing guests that will
Hmm.
share some extraordinary information, but
Mm,
you and the power that you have can make a difference as well. So
yeah.
please do share it so you can impact somebody's life. And of
Yes.
course, we say good morning to Elder. She is already here,
Yes. Come
blue-eyed and
on, Elder
bushy-tailed.
Cherry. Yes. I owe you a phone call. You were on my mind this morning. So thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes, welcome, welcome. Benicia, who is this extraordinary woman?
Oh, so today we have the Chief Energy Officer
Come
of
on.
Transition to Infinite Possibilities. I could start right there.
I know.
Um, I could just stop right there. When I read that, I was like, wait, I love that. A transition to infinite possibilities. She has a master in finance from DeVry University. Her motto is to help ordinary people elevate their careers while maintaining a balanced life. Here at Arise and Shine, we're all about balance, the practical, the spiritual, all of those things. She began her career in financial service industry, which actually we worked together for several years, and we went to the same hairstylist. So I got to see her at work and getting all prettied up. She has led client focused teams, developed business strategies, aided in career development. She has over 13 years of experience where she has influenced hundreds and hundreds of people. She helps you to tap into your inner purpose and connect with your outer goals. So I don't want to prolong anything. So, without further ado, this is Miss Cynthia Hailey, Chief Energy Officer again of Transition to Infinite Possibilities.
Woo! Ciao. Welcome, welcome,
Come
welcome.
on.
Hi.
Good morning, boss lady.
Good morning. Well, afternoon now. Yes,
Yeah,
hello
That's
everybody.
true.
afternoon. Yes, morning somewhere.
It
Somewhere,
is.
somewhere
It
somebody's
so
watching.
is.
Well, we want to welcome you again to Arise and Shine. We're so excited to have you. And we're going to just open the floor and have you to just introduce yourself. I mean, I've already given them a snippet of
Just
how amazing you are, but we're going to turn it over to you.
Absolutely. First, thank you for just having me on this amazing, amazing live podcast with you ladies today. I am so excited to be here. I have a career coaching business, as you stated, transition to infinite possibilities. I launched a couple years ago, and even prior to launching, I went on this path for myself, around what is it that I really want to do? How can I contribute to others? How can I tap into what I'm passionate about and make it a career, or make it, something that's going to transcend for years to come and really impact others in their career, right? And so I went on a journey myself and went through a certified coaching program called IPEC. It's where I got certified, and it's accredited through the International Coaching Federation. And this program in itself was rather unique because it focused on core energy principles. And that energy is, you hear it termed loosely sometimes, but it's really about what's within. And so you can leverage that, really hone in on yourself, and then reach towards your outer goals. And so the program itself to me was not just about learning how to coach somebody, going through a session A, B, C, D. It was really getting good with myself so that I could be good for someone else, right? And so I went on that journey and launched my business. But even before that, I set up my LLC, which was CHC Legacy. And that's a part of me. That's a part of my daughter, because I am a mom of an amazing 11-year-old girl. And that was really the start. I created the LLC to create a legacy for me and my daughter. And then within that LLC, I have my coaching business, which is Transition to Infinite Possibilities. And because I've been a leader of people for many years, as you stated, I'm using this coaching business to really help others go beyond just the typical one-on-one with the manager, right? Because you're going to get what's on the surface. But with me as a coach, you can get so much more to really hone in on yourself. What are some things you can work on? How are you showing up? And so there's the energy piece, but the second piece of my business is interview prep. So yes, you can prep for an interview. You can get the resume. It can look like gold. But if you are not in tune with how you're showing up in that interview, that golden resume is only going to take you but so far. Right. So I use my coaching business to, do one-on-one coaching, group coaching, as well as interview prep.
I love it.
It's so powerful.
Yeah. For those of you that might be a little bit like, what energy? What I want you to know is she also loves Jesus. So she recognizes that.
Absolutely.
Yes. And that's one thing that I love about her is that, we're all about the practical and the spiritual. And we do have a level of energy that we exude, every day. And so what I really love about your business, your ministry, because it's all wrapped in one, is that you went through the program first. So if we're not healthy, if we don't know who we are, how can we help someone else? And Absolutely. So I admire that so much about you. Tanya, you were going to say something?
Yeah. As a recruiter, I mean, I've recruited, I've interviewed, I want to say thousands of people when I think about it. And the statement that you made is so, so true, in that everything can be tight. Everything can be so tight. The suit you picked, the way you pinned your hair up. I mean, you needed no coaching on those things. And then you get in that seat and you open your mouth. And the interview goes, and there's been many times where I had the perfect package sitting in front of me, all the I's dot, and then they just said something crazy, and they almost had the job and they lost it like that. So I am so for career coaching, because if you're not quite there, you can have all the other ducks in a row, but if your emotional intelligence isn't where it needs to be for you to level up in your career, a career coach and prayer are going to be the only things that get you there. You know, so you have to be humble enough to say, yeah, I've had some great positions, and I don't even know how they promoted me this well. I wasn't expecting to be promoted to the next level, but when you're with the same company for a long time, tell the truth, Cynthia. I mean, those promotions come, and you just
They
go
do come.
into those positions, right? Without sometimes being tested on how far you've come emotionally before you get that promotion.
Absolutely. You hit on, like, let's see, which one am I going to touch first? You know, showing up for the interview, it's like, I've talked to people before and they come in with a lot of baggage, right? Or what happened in the past, or, you know, my current boss is probably thinking this about me, or they probably already have someone, so I'm just not going to bring my whole self. You know, so you're coming in with short selling yourself, and that type of energy is really draining, you know? So imagine the weight of all that negative energy on your shoulders when you're coming in to that interview. So you're not showing up in a way that is going to help you land that job. And so it's just being consciously aware of those things so that you can show up better and really trust yourself, you know, have the confidence that you need, hone in on your strengths, know what you bring to the table, and exude that, you know, and I just feel like sometimes we got to take a step back and recognize what those blockers are. You're going on hundreds of interviews, but it's not landing for you. Is it them? Or, you know, is it something I could do different?
Right.
You
And I
know?
think
And
that's
then
such
the comment you made about you know, how many promotions and things of that nature. I'm a firm believer in manifestation. You need to put it out there.
Yes.
As they say, write the vision and make it plain.
Yes.
Say what you want and be specific about it. And really stay there. You know, be diligent on the journey. Stay there. Stay where you're going with it. And continue to manifest in that and believe it. And it will come to pass.
That's
so
so
let's
good.
talk about, yeah, that is so good. Let's talk about your journey a little bit more specific. So you talked about this amazing 11-year-old you have. So we know that you're a mother. You were a single mom, you know. And let's talk about balance. You're really good on balance. So if you could just share your season from being a single mom to writing the vision, making it plain, and having a balance and synergy to really be able to do it all. What did that look like practically for you?
Ooh, how long do we have on this?
The short version. The short version.
So I will tell you, you know, when my daughter was born, I was new in management. And full transparency, it wasn't an easy road, right? Because I knew I had the hunger in me to really elevate my career. I knew I was meant to be a leader. And now it's okay, you want to be a leader, but guess what? You got to show up as a mom now. And now you have to figure out how to balance this thing. And it was the point in my life where I learned that I needed to ask for help. You know, help can look like different things. Help could be, I need to write down my task. Help could be, I need to ask a person or persons for help. Help could be, you know, a whole number of things. Help could be just taking 15 minutes and meditate and pray for a while where maybe I didn't do that before.
Right.
And so that was the most pivotal thing for me when I got started as a mom and trying to grow in my career, was learning how to ask for help.
Mm.
And on my career journey, I had good people along the way, and I had some that challenged me in many ways, that almost made me second guess how great I thought I was,
Yes.
But in all things, I'm also a firm believer of getting the lesson.
Mm.
It
That's
happened,
good.
but what can I take from this that's going to help me on the next path? And, so the balancing act was really strengthening my daughter, helping to teach her how to be independent, even at an early age.
That's good.
I'm talking simple stuff like, here's how you're going to hold your own bottle so I can go do something else,
Right.
And
that's right.
So I took that, and then on my career journey, she's seen me. She's watched me on the meetings, on calls, and things of that nature. But I'll tell you one thing: she checked me one time. She checked me probably at the age of 3, and said, "Why are you on that phone? Are you on the phone again, working?" And it was in that moment. It was in that moment that I realized I needed to show up better at home.
That's so good.
And it was like, this can wait. Because if I don't show up well at home for her, I'm no good to myself. I'm no good to her. I'm not even good for the people at my job.
That's right. Oh, so
And
good.
So, there were a host of lessons along the way, but, as I went on my career, I went from a manager, got promoted by way of taking another job and leaving a company that I was at for over 13 years or so. And that was stepping out on faith. That was, you think about being comfortable in a place that for so long, the people, the job, the work. And it's like, you know what? I also know what I want for myself. And in order to get that, I'm going to have to take this leap of faith here and trust in the lessons that I've learned along the way and take them with me. And again, it's that manifestation, putting it out there. I knew what I wanted. And honestly, this job came by way of LinkedIn. They found me. I didn't go searching for it. They found me. And that's why I say putting it out there in the atmosphere, being specific. I can remember this was a long time ago in a church I went to in Columbia, Bible Way Church of Atlas Road. And at that time, Pastor Darrell Jackson said, when you pray, be specific in your prayer.
Yes.
Can't just say, I want a job.
Yes.
You need to say, I want a job that's going to make me feel whole, that's going to make me feel purposeful, that's going to allow me to have the balance that I need in my life. I need a job that's going to uplift me. I need a job where I'm going to have a leader who's going to support me day in and day out. So you have to really speak those things that you want so that it can come to you. And so, again, I'm not going to paint a picture like every part of the journey was perfect.
That's
but
right.
What really carries me is having awareness. So when the challenges come, I'm no longer reactive.
That's it.
So
I
good.
can step back and press the pause button and actually own how I respond to the situation.
Yes.
In a way that's going to be good and healthy for me.
Right.
So, I went on and I've since been promoted again. Not to my own harm, but it's happened. I've been promoted and launched my own business all within the last couple of years.
Wow.
And still parenting.
Yes. You can do it all. You can.
You can do it all.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can.
So, but it's again, learning how to ask for help when you need it.
Yes.
Putting things out there. And also, I think one of the more recent lessons that I've gotten is knowing when to just fall back.
Ooh, say that
That's
again.
Good. That's so
just
good.
fall back. Just sit down. And
Several
you can't
seats,
take
as
on
Benicia would
every
say.
single thing.
Yes.
That's what I would say.
You
Several
can
seats.
you cannot take on every little, and you know what, I have to say shout out to the career coaches, corporate and outside of corporate, because
Yeah.
for me as a young manager, I had to get some coaching.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, I had to get some
Mm-hmm.
coaching because I had an employee. I'm gonna tell you the truth because I don't work there no more, but she was driving me absolutely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I just
It
didn't
happens.
know, I never had a personality like her before because I was a new manager. And so
Right.
I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know how to how to move around her, how to motivate her. So I had to go get coaching internally. And had I not gone to HR and spoke to a career coach at my company,
Mm-hmm.
things could have ended. I could have said something that was wrong. You know, I could
Right.
have discouraged her and just made a mark on her career that
Mm-hmm.
she would not have recovered from. So you have to ask for help, and you have to
Yeah.
be, I love that you said that. You
Yes.
also have to sit back and, letting somebody else come in and try to arbitrate that situation was humbling,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
right? To sit back and say,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, I don't know how to manage you. One thing to
Yeah.
do that, me and her, the
Mm.
HR person, it was another thing for the three of us to sit at a table in a conference room and know that that's why we were there. That was
Yeah.
huge. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
managers won't do that
That's right.
because
Exactly.
they,
Exactly. Thinking I
Yeah.
got it. I can do it. I can
Right.
yes,
handle it all.
Yeah.
But even in those situations, Tanya, I've learned over the years, especially for new managers, those what you may call challenging employees,
yes,
believe it or not, you might think it's me, it's you, the person, or they just don't like me because I'm this or I'm that. Oftentimes, they're having their own personal hangups
That's right.
yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
and they're bringing that to work. And so that's when I talk about your
Mm-hmm.
energy,
Mm-hmm.
your personal, you have to know how to just have an awareness, really. I say
yes.
that a lot, but just
Mm-hmm.
knowing that what's happening in your personal life or at
Mm-hmm.
home
Mm-hmm.
can
Mm-hmm.
come into your work life
Yes.
if
Yes.
you
Yes.
allow it.
Yes. Yes.
That's so
Yes.
true.
And then that manager is now experiencing all of that,
Yeah. Yeah.
not knowing the real deal, what's really going on.
That's right. And that's so true. And vice versa, right? Because I've had some managers that wasn't so healthy. And so it caused some disarray and just some unnecessary tension within our team. And so I love the fact of you're saying asking for help no matter which seat you sit in. So if
Correct.
you are the leader, absolutely. Or if you are the employee, absolutely. Because to your point, being balanced and healthy is going to help everybody, right? The
Yep.
other thing that I really love that I just can't get away from, because whether it's a career coach or whether it's any area of your life, one thing you said was so powerful, especially for women that are mothers, that you taught your daughter how to be independent. So sometimes as mothers, I know for me, I grew up with my mother like really doing everything for me. And so I continued that same process, right, with my children, which could be crippling to a degree. Now, don't get me wrong, I still had chores and things of that nature, but my mom had OCD. So it wasn't a whole bunch of chores or anything to do because everything was always done. And so I remember getting epiphany when my son was like 13 and he went to stay with his dad. And I was talking to his stepmom and I was like, oh yeah, I iron his clothes. She said, what? She said, oh yeah, no. We don't iron clothes and do those things over here. They do those things themselves. And so why I think that was so powerful for you to share is as mothers, especially working mothers, bosses, whatever you want to call yourself, we complain so much about having so much on our plate, but we have the
Mhm.
power to delegate. So, can you talk a
Yes.
little bit about the power of delegating?
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
Lord.
Oh, let me shift in my seat. Delegation. You know how we started this conversation about the weight that's on your shoulder when
Yes.
you're taking on. And when you start to delegate, that weight gets lighter. Just imagine, lifting the bricks off your shoulders, and you feel so much lighter when you can delegate. But the key is learning who and how, right? Because you can't give everything to just anybody.
That's right.
And you have to learn that relationship building is an important skill set to have. And learning how to ask the right questions to uncover what you need to know. And
That's
so as
good.
whether it's connecting with a peer, connecting with a manager or another, leader in the organization, asking the right questions, understanding what skill set they have, where their strengths are, and being very open to that. Because if I know your strength is, written communication, I'm going to give that to you. But if I know that you're not as comfortable speaking in front of other people, I'm not going to delegate that to you, right?
That's so good.
Unless we've had a conversation that, you know what, Cynthia, I want to strengthen that muscle. Give me that opportunity. And in that space, I'll coach you along the way and then let you go be great, right? So it's the premise that I'm getting to is taking that time to really learn people, understand what they bring, what values they bring, know what you can offload and how to offload it, right? And being clear. I'm big on clarity. You can't say, hey, go down the street and bring me back a soda, right? You got to say, hey, I need you to go to the Harris Teeter that's a half a mile down on the left. When you go and get me a 24-ounce of Sprite in a bottle and bring it back. Be clear on the ask. And I also know that you have to be somewhere at 11:30. So, hey, if you could do that, I'll take care of this for you. And so sometimes you got to understand being clear and setting expectations when you're asking for the help. And then on the flip side, if you're that person, Brene Brown said it best, in her book, Dare to Lead, is painting the picture of done. And with that, it's, okay, if you ask me to go get this soda, I need you to understand that I also have this on my plate. Is there somebody else who can take care of that while I go do this? Or can that wait? And so it's just getting clarity. And oftentimes we go in these situations where the energy starts to show up. I know they didn't ask me to do that. She knows I got this going on. And what does that energy do? You have such a hard feeling now. There's tension. You can't be productive. The other person is like, why can't she just be a team player? The missing link there is clarity. So delegation is good, right? Delegation can help you. But the biggest thing with delegation is understanding people's strengths and being clear and setting the right expectations.
Yes. So good. So good. It would prevent so much confusion and bad attitudes and terminations and resignations. Right? Because most of the time people are leaving because their manager is, well, cliche, the bad manager. And then the other side of that is a manager that's there's several sides actually, Cynthia, and you've seen them all probably. There's nothing new under the sun when it comes to how this stuff works out. But there's the manager that was promoted that shouldn't have been, that doesn't know what they're doing, but they were in the right place in the right time, so they got the position, right? Nobody's thought to go back and help them understand what they need to do and be as a manager. So they're making other folks crazy and causing them to want to leave. when really they just need a coach to help walk them through the process. And then there are managers that don't know how to lead. So, I mean, we could talk all day about
I know.
the
I know.
situations you get put in
Right.
as an employee, what you have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
But and you know what, we need to bring, I want to do a roundtable on that, and have you and some other experts in the field come in and talk about that, because the bad manager thing is so real.
It
But
is. It is. It can be toxic if you let it be.
yes, yes,
Right?
yes.
Because I've experienced it too. But I had a choice in that moment. I had a choice that I could sit in that seat and continue to be angry and frustrated and like, oh, I gotta go to this job again. I just can't. Or I could shift my energy and say, you know what? I know what I bring to the table. I know what I'm capable of, and I know what I want. And I'm going to go get it
Come on.
somewhere
Yes,
else.
Come
yes,
on. That's it
yes.
right there. It's
Right?
a choice.
There's
That's
no one
right.
holding you shackled
But
in that space to
mm,
be with that toxic manager.
Right.
Jesus.
But in that moment, you have a choice.
Yeah.
It may not feel like it, and it's certainly understandable when you juggling life, right? It's like, well, I don't have time to do a resume. I don't even know how to do a resume. Or going on an interview, I haven't interviewed in 15 years. Or I got a kid. I got to get this schedule works for me. In that moment, you still have a choice.
That's
Yes.
right. That's so good.
Because if it's good for you in 10 different ways, then you deal with the toxic manager. And you got to be good with that decision. But if you know that you want better for yourself, sometimes you got to take that risk. You know, if you know that there's happiness on the other side of this journey that I want to go towards, shift your energy. That's just a temporary placeholder.
Yeah.
Go to work, do what you got to do. When you get home, you take 15 minutes, take 20 minutes to work on yourself. Work on your resume, updating your LinkedIn profile, making connections with somebody new that could help you navigate the journey. Get a career coach. Get someone that's going to help you nail that interview. You know, help work on your branding. I had a conversation recently with someone similar to the scenario you just mentioned, Tanya, where someone else got the job.
Yeah.
And I was talking to another leader that said, well, you know, I can ask one person about them and they're raving. But when I ask the other 5, they don't have that much to say about them. What does that say? You have to learn how to brand yourself so that they're talking about you when you're not in the room.
Yes. Yes. I'd say that all the time. You get there before you get there. Whether it's good you or a bad you are always there before you get there. So what are you going to do to encourage what they have to say about that dialogue that you just talked about? That's critical. That's your brand. Yes.
It is.
That's
So
such a
So, Cynthia, I want to stay there for a second because we obviously there's people that don't know how to brand themselves based on that scenario and situation. So, what are some things that would hinder someone from building those type of relationships? Because to your point, if I'm not aware of something, you can't do what you don't know. And so, what are the things that would hinder someone from building relationships? I'm sure you have multiple clients that sit in your room. I've coached with you, and you brought some things out to me, in the session that we had, and I'm like, oh, I never even thought about that. So what are things that would hinder you from, going to spread your wings, for lack of words, and network?
Blockers. Right? And so there are things that can get in our way and cloud our judgment, cloud our view. And some of it's fear,
Yeah.
some of it's comfortability,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and some of it is just, I think back to Stephen Furtick a long time ago. He did a message and he said, stop putting bubble thoughts over people's head.
Mm.
Oh, child. Yeah, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
You remember
Mm.
that? And let
Yes.
me tell you, I put a post-it note on my computer screen
Mm.
to remind myself to stop putting bubble thoughts over people's head.
Mm.
And if you can envision it like a cartoon and you're just assuming what somebody's thinking, but these aren't the words that are coming out of their mouth,
Mm.
right?
That's so good. Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes that gets in the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of making those connections.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that gets in the way of stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
I can remember having a conversation with someone that said, well, I have the degree. I know this stuff inside and out. I've been doing this job forever.
Mm.
Who knows it?
Mm.
Who
You
knows your greatness?
you and your
Right.
cube. That's it, because you haven't told us
That's
so
it.
much.
You and the
You
cube.
know, how can you create these opportunities to allow all that greatness to shine?
Yeah.
And
That's
in
so
some
good.
cases, that's having a conversation with your manager,
Mm-hmm.
getting clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to toot your own horn
Yes,
Yes.
you said that
Yes.
and
earlier.
be
You said
okay with that.
that's right.
Right. That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right. And not look at it as being arrogant, right?
Right.
Yes.
But
Humble.
being confident, confident. I remember when
Mm-hmm.
I was getting ready for an interview and I used to struggle with that, like tooting my
Hmm.
own horn. And I remember the Lord told me, honey, you just stating facts. Are these facts? I said,
Yeah,
yes. He said, oh, okay then. So go in there and state
exactly.
the facts. And so I really love that because one thing I recognize, even when we're thinking about like church and things of that nature, I think sometimes we think it's going to be a genie in a bottle experience. Oh, I want a job. I'm just praying. I'm a fast. But no, baby, you got to prepare. You got to submit the
Yes.
resume.
There's
You have
work.
to
Yeah.
prepare for the interview. You may have to get a career coach. It's so many other things. And I believe that's the season that God has us in. Is, sweetie, you have to be willing to do the work. And guess what? God is God, but God
Yes.
Hmm.
blesses us through people. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're an individual that, and I'm not saying everybody's personality is different. So I don't expect everybody to be like Cynthia, everybody to be like Tanya,
Right.
myself. There's extroverts, there's introverts. I understand that, but we can't use our personalities as an excuse not
Hmm.
to move in what God is calling us to do and connect with the people that God is calling us to connect with. Do you
Yes.
believe that, Cynthia? Do you believe
Oh,
sometimes we use
100%.
mhm.
100. I mean, look, if we're going to go with Jesus on this,
Yeah,
faith without works is dead,
that's right.
Come on.
right? So
Yeah.
you have to put in the work to make a
Mhm.
difference. And to your point, you can't just say, well, I'm an introvert.
Mhm.
My question to you would be, what would it feel like if you could do something different?
Mm. Mm.
If you could step out and do something different to get
Mm.
what you want, how would
Mm.
that feel?
That's
Mm-hmm.
good. That's
And
good.
if you tell me, I would feel so rewarded. I
Mm.
would feel so purpose driven.
Mm.
Okay, now what are we going to do to get that feeling?
Right.
Mm.
Right.
That's so good. That is so good. And the flip, right? Reverse for me lately, that's so powerful what you said because I'm an extrovert. I wake up like, good morning, let's go. And the
She
Lord is
does.
teaching and the Lord is teaching me, oh, that's so powerful, Cynthia, is how to kind of pull back some and be quiet so he could give me more instructions on what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to go, and all of that. So, to your point, yes, that's my primary personality. To meet the destination, sometimes you have to change depending on what season you in, where you're going, who you are connecting with. I love what you said earlier about relationships and getting to know people. So when you get to know people, I know my friends that are a little bit more subdued. So even though my personality is still big, I might bring it down a couple notches. So it's so right. It's so important, what job you're going for. Let's talk a little bit about that, like styles and things of that nature. I'm sure you're gonna have to morph into, for better lack of words, and that may be why we're not landing that job. So how does that look?
Oh boy. Let's see. I think one is learning how to know your audience, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because you can be, big personality, right?
Yes.
And that's okay in certain settings,
That's right.
right?
Mhm.
And by no means am I saying change who you are as a person, right? It doesn't take away from who you are. But if you're trying to navigate this thing, you need to understand your audiences. It's no different you're playing a card game. You're playing spades, right?
Right.
You're paying attention.
Yes.
You're going to know how to play that game because you're aware of what's happening around you. It doesn't change who you are and how you're going to, how you know your books, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But you might navigate a little differently because you know who the players are and you understand how to hold yourself in that setting. And so,
that's so good.
I had a young
I
lady
just
one
got to
time.
interrupt you real quick. That is so good because people can relate to. You talk about a good spades game, and people can relate to that, but they
that's true.
never think to apply that to the rest of their lives. And honestly, I'm a game player. I mean, my whole family, we don't play when it comes to playing games. Most of the people that married in are like, oh, here come the Blackwoods.
Right.
When they play games. And I treat life like that. That is so good. Because
right. It doesn't change who you are.
No.
You just know how to navigate it. If you playing Uno, you might play it a little different,
Right.
You just
strategy.
Yes. Who you're up against, one, right? You know your competition. So you might show up a little different.
Yes.
You might prepare ahead. What was it in I just watched the movie King Richard with Will Smith.
Oh, that was so good.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna watch it this weekend.
It was good, but you know how he repeated that quote about you have to, if you plan to fail, you fail to plan.
Right.
Right. And so getting back to your point, it's you got to put things in place to get where you want to go. Right. You got to start taking steps, baby steps. Nobody said you had to take a leap.
Yes.
Right. You start out with where you're comfortable and continue to grow. And when you can grow day in and day out over time, and then you look back from whence you came.
Come on.
That's the success. That's the beauty. When you can see how far you've come on the journey to see your growth. I had a young lady recently and I told her, I said, I've seen your growth. She may not be exactly where she wants to be, but she's grown. And that is worthy of being acknowledged and recognized and celebrating.
That is so good. Yeah, it's a muscle.
So yeah.
It's a muscle that you have to grow, right?
Yeah.
And you find that you get stronger and stronger the smaller changes that you make. That's why coaching is so important because there's accountability involved, and one of the things maybe I should say spoiler alert while we're talking about, King Richard, but one of the things I loved about him is that he wasn't afraid to ask for what he wanted. And he was not afraid to tell you what he saw. So, whether you see it or not didn't matter to him.
You know why?
Go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
Because he knew his worth.
Yes.
He knew those girls' worth.
Come
He
Mhm.
on.
knew what he brought to the table.
Yes.
Yes.
And when you can be confident in that, it's to your, I
Mhm.
think you said this earlier about
Mhm.
arrogance and being humble. It's not
Mhm.
about being arrogant.
That's right.
You can humbly show up confidently.
Come
Yes.
on.
Yes.
Come on.
And he knew it. He's like,
Mhm. Yeah.
I
And
know what I'm capable of. I know my worth.
yeah.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yes. He
I
called
love.
them to the mat on that. Sorry, B. Go ahead.
Yes. No, no, you're fine. I love what you said about, getting better every day.
Mhm.
Because sometimes we get so caught up in the destination that we
Mm-hmm.
don't enjoy the journey.
Oh,
Right.
And I
yes.
remember my therapist telling me this. You talked about this earlier, and it's just like certain things just get etched in your brain. She said,
Mm-hmm.
there's never really losses, but there's always lessons. So when we change our perspective on the things that we encounter, then we're able to move forward in such a healthy way, and we
Right.
can show up because,
Mm-hmm.
to your point, whatever I think, my emotions are going to follow, right? So if I think that this is, I felt that before, I felt stuck,
Right.
literally, right? And so when you feel stuck, are you going to go excited? Are you going to go with
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
expectation? Are you going to go? No, you're going to go dragging and, frustrated, and things of that nature. And so I just really appreciate you talking about that, because a lot of times we don't know how to grace ourselves. We don't know how to pat ourselves on the back and say, hey, I'm learning, slap myself five. You know what I mean? Like, girl, you did that. And
Mm-hmm.
not in a way, like you said, that's arrogant. I think that's a very fine line, that we don't really walk in our authority. We don't really walk in our worthiness because we think, oh, well, I don't want anyone to think that
Yeah.
I think I'm better than them. No, it really has nothing to do with you comparing yourself to another person. I'm just
Right.
walking and embodying and embracing who God called me to be. So, can we
Yes.
talk a little bit about, and you alluded to it earlier, about confidence and clarity on knowing who you are? Did you always sit in the seat you're sitting in as the CEO, or did you battle some thoughts of insecurity and things of that nature?
So good.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny. Yes, I sat in the seat
Mhm.
for a long time since high school.
Mhm.
Remember those old that group in high school? It was like Future Business Leaders of America. You know,
Mm.
Yes. I
I
was
was
on the
in that.
board. Yeah.
In high school, so I always
Mhm.
found myself as a leader.
Mhm.
But I did experience challenges,
Mm.
right? And I think what's important is that you embrace your experiences. Your
Mm.
experiences are what make up your thoughts, your feelings, to your point. But then it's the lessons that come out of those experiences.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
what you take with you.
Mm.
I had someone say to me one time, Cynthia, you can't let them know how smart you are all the
Mm.
Mm.
time. I
Mm.
was like,
Huh?
what does that mean? You know, like,
Right.
why can't I confidently show up smart in the
Mhm.
room? Right?
Mm. Yeah.
Um, and that troubled me for a little while
Mm.
because I kept saying, why me? Why can't
Mhm.
I be the one that's smart? Why can't I
Mhm.
have 2 degrees? You
Mhm.
know, I've worked a long time. I know this stuff. I like to study. I'm licensed.
Mm.
I got all this stuff going on for me. Why can't I show up
Right.
Mm.
with my big brain in the room? As my
Mhm.
daughter would
Mhm.
say, bring your big brain. But even in that, I had to pause and say, okay, what's really behind this?
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, how can I still show up and be received in a way that exudes my intelligence,
Mhm.
that still shows my value,
Mhm.
and not you know, for lack of better words, intimidate,
Right.
or not
Right.
be well received.
That's right.
Um, and it's not to conform in any way, but just more on just being comfortable in how I show up. And part of that was starting to get awareness around how that might have came through in a room. You know, did it make someone uncomfortable? But then that was also how I learned to make better relationships with people. Because if they only know me in that 30-minute meeting, they don't really know me.
Right.
You know, they don't know that. They don't know my background. They don't know my history. They don't know, you know, that I am the happy-go-lucky person coming in the room. I'm the social butterfly. And so I started doing things like coffee chat, 15-minute coffee chat. You know, setting up time with people. Hey, I just want to just chat, get to know you, you know. And some people are comfortable with it and some are not. But hey, I was willing to take that chance just to extend the olive branch because, yes, your experiences do shape how you navigate this thing called life. But more than just the experiences, learning how to pause and just get the lesson out of it.
So
is
good.
Very important.
So good. I love that. It's so important. Again, you know, is how you show up. Like you said, you could be the smartest person in the room. But what I love about God is that when you have a relationship with Him, He'll tell you when to speak and when to be quiet. You know, and I love feedback. So let's talk about how important feedback is to ask for, because you could perceive yourself one way. I've been in that situation where I perceived myself one way, and when I began to ask, it was totally the opposite, and I was floored. Like, what? I couldn't believe it. Like, me? And then that gave me the desire to go and get to the root of that. Well, why would that be? If one person said it, but if multiple people are saying it, then I need to check me. So how important is it to get feedback or to be accountable, you know, to someone else that can tell you those hard things? Not, oh, Cynthia, you're amazing, you're a CEO, you're a boss, but somebody that's going to be like, let's talk about how you just responded to that.
It is important, but I always say be intentional with your ask. Right?
That's good.
I literally just had this conversation this week with a mentee, and he was going up about, hey, you know, I want to network. I want to get people's opinion on how I need to be a better manager or how I can get to the next role. What am I doing, you know, that I maybe shouldn't be doing? And in his quest, one person said something that had a little negative connotation behind it, right? Not about him, but just about the business and, you know, things of that nature. And I told him, I said, be careful what you take on.
That's so true.
You know, and be intentional with your ask. Be intentional about who you ask. Right?
Yeah.
So the feedback is important, but know what you're looking to get from it.
Right.
Are you just looking to be accepted? Or are you really looking for something that's going to help you maybe tweak how you might approach something the next time? Right? So be clear on what you're asked, be intentional going into the ask, and be intentional about who you ask.
That's so good.
And know that being very mindful, because there are some people that will transfer their energy to you, and it might not be what you want.
That's so true. That's so true.
Right? They take their personal experience and transfer that to you, and now you're stepping away like, oh, I don't think I want. That was their experience. That does not have to be yours.
That's right. That's so good.
That's
so
powerful.
Be very careful with feedback. It can be a gift as long as you're intentional about your ask and who you're asking.
That is so good. Such good advice. It really is. Because you should be intentional in everything that you're doing in that environment. If you swing from a place of emotions in that environment, you're only setting yourself up. You're setting yourself up for a fall. you
That is
know,
so true.
and for me as a manager in a corporate setting, I always admired and actually added a level of respect to anybody that came to me to say, you know what, I want to grow in this space. What do you think I should do?
Mhm.
Or how do you
Mhm.
see me in this area? And there have been people that, I won't say the word that I use to describe what that action is, but they had that level of confidence that you just have to admire.
Mhm.
As a manager, you know what, if he's going to come and ask me, if she's going to come and ask me that, they are
Mhm.
looking at themselves constructively, and
Yeah.
I feel comfortable with
Mhm.
them doing something for me that'll
Right.
have my name on it for upper
Right.
management, because I
Yeah.
Right.
know they're hard on themselves.
Mm.
So I'm good
Yeah.
with that. I'm good with leveling them up because
Mhm.
they have the confidence and they've shown the fruit
Mhm.
because they ask the right questions. People
Mhm. And
respect you
that's
for that.
important too, having an advocate, right?
Yes.
Right.
You do need someone who's going to advocate for you.
That's right.
And we have to do better at advocating for each other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
That's right.
know, on this screen, we have three beautiful Black women,
Amen.
right?
Mhm.
And if we could do better at advocating for each other,
Mhm.
celebrating our successes, imagine what could come from that.
That's right.
And so when you think about your careers, who could be your advocate? Who are you
Mhm.
going to have advocating for you?
Right. Yeah.
And what are they going to say? What do you want them to say?
Yes.
Mm. That's so powerful because words are powerful, period. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking about what you just said about being careful with feedback. I remember I went to a manager and I asked a manager something, and this was a manager. How can I say this? She was challenged. It was a challenging situation. And when I asked her for feedback, the response that she gave me kind of pierced me a little bit. It was good, but it was the wording that she used, which, to your point, when I really sat in it, was a reflection of what she was dealing with, right? But if I didn't know who I am and my worth, it could have caused me to diminish
Right.
my concept of who I am, my giftings and things of that nature. So I think that is such a
Amen.
good point, Cynthia, not just career wise, but in every area of your life. When you said awareness, I had to
Mm-hmm.
become aware of my circle. So we're actually doing this book club, and last night we were talking about choosing things intentionally and purposeful. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that, one of my friends can't check me on something, but if
Right.
this person is consistently negative, if it's a boss, if it's whatever, they're consistently negative. If you're not in an environment that's conducive to inspiring you and wanting and you coming out saying, hey, yeah, I might need to work on that, but I'm excited about working on it because they built me up, then that's the
Mm-hmm.
issue.
Mhm.
And just like you're saying, we need to take inventory of that in our careers. We need to take inventory in our lives.
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter how long you've been in relationship with these people. That doesn't matter. But do I feel built up? That's one thing I love about this podcast. When I get off, I'm built up.
Yes.
Tanya and I, we vibe so well together because outside of the podcast, we build ourselves up. So
Yeah.
I think, in each other, should I say. So I think that is such a good point that we have to be careful what we allow in our ear gates, and be humble enough if it's true. Okay, but even in truth, you still should walk away not feeling crippled or
Right.
less than. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. Because someone told me once, a leader told me, take it for what it's worth.
Hmm.
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 And
Hmm.
leave the rest. And leave the rest. Yes,
Exactly.
Cynthia. The filter. You don't have to take it all.
You don't.
Take what you need and leave the rest.
You
That
don't.
Chew
is
the
so
bone,
good.
chew the meat, spit out the bones. Is that what they say sometimes?
Break it down. Chew the meat, get out the bones.
Yes.
That's good,
So
Cynthia. Yeah, I mean, I love your wisdom. You bring so much,
yes,
and the
she
walk that
does.
you're on. It's really encouraging and inspirational to women who they may be sitting in a place right now where they're not sure what they want to do next. I would love, as we wrap up, for you to take a couple minutes and specifically talk to the people, um, men or women, that are trying to find their way back career wise right now, because it's a hot mess out there.
It
Mm.
you
is.
know
It
so
is.
if you could share for maybe a minute from your heart, Benicia, and I'll give you the mic, and just talk to those folks that are
Yeah.
trying to find their way with their careers post. I don't even know if I should say post pandemic, but
We're
because
in this thing. We're in
you
it.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
but please share your heart with them, and we'll come back, and we'll close things out.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for that opening as well on this topic. I'll say that as you're navigating your career journey in this space of a pandemic, in this space of what they're calling the great resignation, in this space where job opportunities are opening up all over the globe and offering remote opportunities, some are not. Whatever the case may be, it all boils down to what you want. And sometimes we have to get clear with what we want. It's not what the other person wants for you. Sometimes we expect validation, or we look for validation from a prior manager, or we look for validation from our family and loved ones. But if you take a moment and really just sit with yourself and understand, what do you want? What do you want? Do you want peace? Do you want joy? Do you want to live a purpose filled life? Do you want to have more time with your family? Do you want to hustle? Because that's a thing, right? You really have to tap into understanding what it is that you want before you can go out there and start finding it. And so the other piece of this is understanding how you show up in these situations. Because if you're out there hunting and searching and you're looking for a job, just a job, and you're not being specific in your quest, that could be draining. It could be really draining. It could be tiring. And when that tiresome sets in, it it affects you, right? You're not as eager to go out. You're not as eager to apply for the next job. You're not as eager to focus on your interview skills. You're not as eager to try something new. So take some time and really understand how you're showing up, understanding what you want. And then I would encourage people to speak it. There's power in your words. There's power in manifestation. Have those conversations with your manager. Have those conversations with the career coach like myself with Transition to Infinite Possibilities, where we can not only help you elevate in your career, but elevate your energy. And that is what's going to allow you to reach your highest potential. And so as you go through this pandemic, a lot of us have fears, angst, um, concerns, and it's not to minimize that at all. It's really understanding, what do you want? What do you need? What kind of support? How does accountability look like for you? Map it all out. I have notebooks everywhere, paper everywhere, boards everywhere, because I like to write things out. Visualize what you want for yourself and make it happen. I would say go on this journey, uh, get in tune with yourself, what's really happening here, not on the surface, not what you know, not about all of the degrees, the 20 years of experience, this, that, and the third. What do you want? And take the time to go get it. Focus. Reframe your thoughts, reframe your mind, Focus on what's going to bring you joy. And I promise you, it will come to pass. It will come to pass when you start to shift your energy and shift your mindset. I'm Cynthia Hailey. I am the Chief Energy Officer of Transition to Infinite Possibilities. If you're on social media, you can find me at Tip Energy Coach on Instagram, Facebook, my website, tipenergycoaching.com. I'm always on LinkedIn. I encourage you to get on LinkedIn as well. You can find me under Cynthia Hailey or on my page at Transition to Infinite Possibilities. If you want to connect, you want to explore, how am I showing up, Cynthia? Tell me the truth. What's going on with me? Why isn't this happening? Let's connect. I offer complimentary sessions. I have career coaching packages. And if you don't want to go down the whole path, we can slice and dice this thing to make it work for you. You're going on an interview and you really want to show up with your best self. Let's set up a session to prepare you and get you on the path to that next journey, that next great opportunity that's going to set you up for success in your career. I so appreciate this opportunity with you all, and thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
Awesome.
yeah, we are so grateful that you came. Yes.
Listen, we believe in you. I did a complimentary session and it was amazing. And I will be doing some more
Yeah,
sessions.
she raved about you after
I
she.
did. I did. And I knew that she needed to be on the podcast because of her character, her integrity. One thing I wanted to say about her before we closed is that for a long time we went to the same hairdresser and we worked together, as I said previously, and you would never know how successful she was or what she had going on because she just was so humble and so pleasant every time our paths crossed. And I just think that is a beautiful thing. You know, you don't have to, when you embody it, you don't have to be loud about it. You just show up and it exudes from the inside out. And so I appreciate you. I look forward to connecting with you. And I pray that other people who have been blessed today will go to your website and see what you offer. And again, please share this. We don't know what condition someone may be in, what nugget that was shared today might help unlock someone's potential or that desire to move forward and see what the end is going to be. So thank you all for joining. Thank you, Cynthia. And Tanya, you want to close us out? You're on mute, boo. You're on mute.
Okay, I'm back. Sure, I would love to close this out. But before I do that, I just want to give some shout outs
Yes.
and say to all of the folks, Abigail, Keisha, and Elder,
Mhm.
Shawan. Oh my goodness, we
Yes.
have
Thank
so
you for
many folks that have
joining.
gotten into the room, Leah Lee, all
Mhm.
kinds of folks that
Mhm.
have stepped in. Thank you for showing up. And thank you, Sandy. Thank you, all of you, for sharing this broadcast. As we said, we asked you to share it because, as you can tell from the gold nuggets, I believe that one of the guests said in the chat, this was gold nuggets throughout that were
Yes,
dropped
it
by
was. Yes, it
Cynthia.
was.
And
Yeah.
share those nuggets. Don't keep them all to yourself, right? Send
Absolutely.
them out so that you can help some folks find their way. And we just love you guys. We adore you. We're going to bring you some amazing, amazing stuff next week. So,
Yay.
yeah, keep your eyes open, but most of all, keep your heart open. And please reach out to us. I'll put the link in the comments. If you are interested, Arise and Shine is doing an anthology.
Woo
And
woo.
we would love to have you and your God moment rise up story as a chapter in that book. So get in touch with us. I'll put the email here in the chat and you can reach out to us and we'll give you all the details. Have a great week, guys. Thank you again, Cynthia, for joining us. We'll see you in the green room. And Benicia, thank you. I don't say thank you enough to you. You
Oh
still
my
always
gosh. You do say it so much, and I hope I say it just as much. I appreciate you on screen and off screen. You know, you are a joy to have a relationship with. And so I
Amen.
appreciate you. I do.
Amen, y'all. This is a love fest up here in Rise and Shine. I hope you don't mind. We take time to give flowers while we're
That's
still
right.
here. And we'll see
Absolutely.
you next Saturday. We'll have a fresh bouquet for you. Y'all be
Yes.
good. We love you too.
Love you
Take it easy.
guys. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.